Hi, everybody. It's Elizabeth from Elpis Astrology at elpisastrology.com. So today I am going to give you my take on the May 2025 astrology, and I will go in towards the end of this video from the introduction into your individual sun signs and or ascendants and give you a little understanding of what I see for you individually. I'll also do the June peak after that as well. Actually, I will do the June peak before I do that. All right. So what do we got going on? Well, in May, we start off on the 2nd of May. Venus in Aries will be conjunct Neptune. And if we look at Neptune as a planet in relation to Venus, it's viewed as the higher octave of Venus. So when you have two of these together, it really speaks to probably some new initiatives in relationships. Let me just take a look to see. I don't have the degree down there for that, but let me just take a look at the actual degree for that. Because, yeah, if you are wanting to, say, start a new relationship or move something forward in a relationship, especially one that's very, say, romantic, that 2nd of May would be really nice. So let me just look up to see what degrees it's at. Yeah, so it's right at the beginning of Aries. Yeah, so we're looking at 0, 1 degree of Aries. If you've got something around this, could be absolutely awesome for you. The other thing I was thinking too was there might be a mysterious way you have some money come into your bank account. Again, if you've got these degrees, so we're really looking at, I mean, I might take it as far as 2 degrees, but really it's 0 to 1 degree to get that conjunction happening. The other thing that's happening around this time that goes on to the 12th of May is that Uranus will be sextiling the North Node. And I was thinking in particular for those Taurians, whether you're Taurus ascendant or Taurus sun sign, that have really, been working at trying to change their life and move forward in a new destiny path. That whole first week, well, actually it's more, it's almost two weeks, the 1st to the 12th of May, could be very helpful for you to get you on that destiny path that you want to get on. Now, it is at about 26 degrees of Taurus, so really it's going to be, I take a degree on either side of that, where it may actually affect you directly. Otherwise, a lot of these things go on without our really noticing them, right? Okay, so we look at the 3rd of May, we've got the transiting moon will be opposite Pluto. And so there may be something brought up this day with regards to the collective people, right? The moon can actually represent the people. And so I'm thinking there's going to be probably some push from the people and push back from those in power on that day. The next day, on the 4th, we have Pluto will be stationing to go retrograde. And that is around the 3 degree mark. So we may see the claws of power withdraw their claws a little bit at this time to go into a plotting and planning stage. When we look at the 6th of May, we have Venus sextile Pluto. And so this is lovely too. This again can lend itself to a powerful transformative relationship should you want one, or at least it gives you opportunities for that. It also gives you opportunities to potentially transform your money into something more significant, right? Pluto gives us power. It also deals with, on a more abstract level, those things that are under the ground, like oil, like all our precious metals, that sort of thing. And so you put that in your mind and you attach it to a sextile with Venus. This could be making money on, say, some investments with gold, silver, that sort of thing. Yeah. Now, we have our first lunation, which will be a full moon. That's going to be happening in Scorpio. It's at 22 Scorpio, 12 minutes on the 12th of May. And remember, also on the 12th of May, you will still have Uranus sextiling the North nodes. It'll be at 9:55 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. And that moon is going to be opposite Uranus, a little widely, but it will be opposite. The sun will be conjunct Uranus, so that's pretty significant, right? So these are going to be unexpected things coming up maybe even some, yeah, I mean, we're all talking about Scorpio and Taurus here, right? Now, they tend to be this axis of Scorpio and Taurus, with Scorpio being opposite Taurus, is many times viewed as a money axis, right? So I'm thinking that around that full moon, with the moon conjunct Uranus, there may be some unexpected things come through with regards to our money. That's going to be very important for us to pay attention to. And certainly with the moon opposite, these are unexpected things that rattle us a little bit emotionally. Maybe that's going to be mostly on a collective level. Again, this moon's at 22 Scorpio. When we look at Mercury, deliverer of messages, it is going to be squaring Pluto. So this is going to be unwelcome news from those in power, simply put. We look at Saturn in Pisces. It'll be conjuncting Neptune in Aries, but a little widely. It's out of sign, if you know what I mean. So Saturn will still be in Pisces, and then Neptune, of course, is in Aries. And so this is a transit that's going to be going on and off for some time, becoming exact sort of mid-February next year, 2026. So the influence of that is when Neptune and Saturn together, the big news is a dissolving of our structures, a dissolving of that which we counted on, old ways of doing things, old structures. Yeah. Then we have Jupiter is in a wide square to the north nodes. Hard to get a bad aspect with Jupiter, even though it's a square. So this just may bring in some good luck with regards to our destiny path that we want to get on. So when we look at that full moon in Scorpio on the 12th of May, culminating at that time, we're going to have a star called Zugen Eshmali. And this star refers to the shadow side of justice, but it can also refer to honor and distinction. So it's kind of a combination of these different things that could be coming up. I'm thinking it's more the shadow side of justice. Why? Because it's a full moon in Scorpio. Scorpio is very much working behind the scenes, can be very secretive, that type of thing. So I guess that star, to me, can say we may have, justice not being properly meted out at this time. So on the 22nd of May, we have Venus in Aries still, trining now Mars in Leo at 16 degrees. Well, this is awesome too for relationships. So note the 22nd of May, especially if you've got something around that 16 degree marks, and we could say 16 degrees in any, especially the fire signs. So that is Aries where Venus is. That is Mars where Leo is. And then, of course, there's Sagittarius too. But this is between Aries and Leo. This could bring like a really showy love story of some sort in here. Maybe this will be played out with some of our royalty in Hollywood. But this could be part of the royalty too, because when we look at Leo as a sign, it is many times looked at as royalty. And so there may be something very favorable that comes up with regards to love and the royal family. Now, this can also represent money. And so in Aries, with Venus being in Aries, I'm thinking this could be some unique opportunities to really maybe put your own business together, push your ideas forward to the greater public. And maybe this could be some really creative projects. Some folks that have this around 16 degrees, this trine, this could be the start of a very beautiful creative project, right? Because Leo can represent that too. And Aries is all about me. What do I want to do? This is what I'm interested in. We also have the sun sextiling Neptune that way. And we've got the sun at 1 degree of Gemini, and then, of course, Neptune at 1 degree of Aries. So that supports what I just spoke about with the Venus and Mars. It's a highly creative time. And generally speaking, when we look at Neptune, We're talking about things like dance. We're talking about music, writing music, poetry, that type of thing. It's also film as well, and literally photographs. So that's super positive. So the 22nd of May, I would say, really highlight that if you've got something around any of these degrees that I've just spoken about, maybe to pursue some kind of creative project or get people to buy into your creative project, or just to start something highly creative and look for inspirational ideas at that time. On the 24th of May, we have the sun that will be in Gemini, trining Pluto in Aquarius at 3 degrees. And so this is positive. I would say this is going to be communications, powerful communications, important communications that probably hold some kind of transformational energy around it too. So if you've got anything around that 3 degrees of Gemini or 3 degrees of Aquarius, there could be some good news from those in power. And so this good news could be something, maybe you've applied for a visa or a passport, and something like that could come in. They favor you. Those people in power favor you. But it's going to come through some kind of messages. And when we've got both Gemini and Aquarius involved here, these could be literal, like you receive a letter. But generally speaking, I would say this is more through electronic means, and that would be like an email, text message, that sort of thing. And we also have Mercury supporting that when it's conjunct Uranus, right? Now that's at 27 degrees Taurus. But that day, the 24th of May, could be very powerful, unexpected information and or messages come in that are very supportive, that may help free you. Again, we go back to that whole Uranus being wanting to free you, wanting to liberate you, that type of thing. Now, that same day, we have Saturn ingressing or going into 0 degrees of Aries. And we know that Neptune's already there. So this is where the dance will happen back and forth until mid-February 2026, where Saturn and Neptune will be back and forth close together, talking to each other about what? Dissolving our structures, dissolving anything to do with old ways of doing things. Saturn talks about that. And pursuing new things. Now, we previously had Saturn going into Aries in April 1996, for those that want to go back and take a look what was happening for yourself at that time. On the 26th of May, we have our second lunation. It's going to be in Gemini, and that's a new moon. So happy new year to all my Gemini ascendants and sun signs. It's going to be at 6 Gemini and 6 minutes at 8:01 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. Now, this particular new moon will be aspected by a culminating star called Alcyone. And Alcyone, depending how you want to interpret things, if you go back to the more ancient interpretation, it really refers to vision, including losing your vision. And it is a star that's in the Pleiades. But I think if you bring it to maybe a more modern, generalized understanding, I would say that we could be losing sight of something here, that we're not seeing how things are really going. So again, we've got the moon in Gemini, so there may be some announcements of some sort in the general public that we're just not able to see properly. It's not as clear as it could be. At that new moon, we know that the sun and the moon are together, but so is Mercury at this time too. So I think this is going to be important information that's going to come through, probably some kind of revelation of some sort, especially as Saturn now is in Aries too. It's going to be wanting to pursue a new path with regards to our structures, our old institutions. That 26th of May may very well bring into focus, this is how we're going to do these structures that we've seen maybe all our lives, or maybe for many hundreds of years. They're about to change. And especially when you've got that Saturn conjunct Neptune Neptune likes to dissolve things. But because this is a long-lasting aspect, at least almost a year or so, I would say that this will be slow erosion of those old institutions. Now, these institutions can include banks too. So there may be a big, huge change that happens there. But generally speaking, I'm thinking that this is going to be obvious as it starts happening, but slow in its actual progress to dissolve the actual structures. We've got still Venus trining Mars, but it's wide at this point. And this is about 18 to 20 degrees. And so, that's Leo as well as Aries. Yeah, so this is just another opportunity here potentially for, an interesting relationship, a very maybe glamorous relationship, right, with that Leo added in here. But it can also refer to our money as well, as I mentioned. And so this may be some opportunities to make money that, make money off some kind of creative project of some sort. We have Jupiter here, again, squaring that North Node. We spoke about that earlier. This is, I don't think, a negative thing. I think it's just going to be unique opportunities to expand that path that we want to get on for our destiny. We're going to have Mercury trine Pluto. And at this time, we are going to have 4 planets in Aries. So I'm still talking about that new moon at 6 degrees of Aries. So Mercury trine Pluto is positive for sure. The Pluto part refers to transformation, and Mercury refers to messages. It refers to any kind of communications. So these will be important communications that come in that are not necessarily negative. Trines tend to be very positive. When we dial down to the 30th of May, we have that lovely Sun conjunct Mercury at 8 degrees of Gemini. So this is important information. We end that month of May with some very important information coming into us. When we look at that June peak, we've got a full moon at 20 degrees of Sagittarius, a new moon at 4 degrees of Cancer. Mercury will conjunct Jupiter in Gemini. And then the Mercury square Pluto is at the end of June. And we're going to have Mars in Leo out of bounds. So I'll talk more about that later, but I thought I would just give you a heads up on that. So let's move on to looking at your own personal forecast. And you can use your ascendant and or your sun sign. I would listen to both. When you look or listen to your ascendant, what you're effectively doing is finding out where the aspects that I talk about, normally this would be the moons, what area of your life they fall in. So that's what the ascendant will give you when you read that or listen to that or watch that. And then the sun sign, the sun is the most important part of your chart. So you really want to listen to what it says there, and it may get you a little bit more insight and understanding. All right, so we're going to start off with you, Gemini. And Gemini, you have your new moon. So happy new year to all my Gemini viewers and clients. We're going to get to that in a minute, Gemini. Let's start off with the full moon. That will be in Scorpio, and it will be in your 6th house, Gemini. And so this suggests that there's some ending with regards to a few things. Your health, and this could affect anything from the way you eat, the way you exercise, your mental health as well. But it is also your day-to-day job. If you do not work, this is what activities do you do most days? Well, those are going to be either ending, culminating, or a big spotlight is going to be put on it for some reason for you to look closely at it, right? So, right off the bat, for those Geminis that may have been suffering from ill health, this could see the ending of that, just straight off. It could also have you, for those Geminis that maybe you've not been eating right or exercising right, and you end a way of, say it's your eating habits. You end what you've been doing to make things better for yourself. I'm thinking that because this is Scorpio, Gemini, this could be more to do with your psychological self, because certainly Scorpio rules those areas of our life. And so this could, literally be some kind of activity you've been doing that you decide you don't want to do anymore, basically. And the other thing is, of course, that your job may end. And this may be you ending your job, or for whatever reason, your job may just be ending at this time. The other thing about Scorpio is secrets. So there may be some secret that comes up that you didn't know about to do with your job or the things that you do on a daily basis. And this causes you to look really carefully at it. It could just be straight off, Gemini, that you really are taking a close look at the job that you do. Maybe you're mentally finding it exhausting, right? And it's affecting your health. And you're having to look carefully at what you're doing and what you need to change. It could be something like that too. But it bodes well for ending maybe a bad way of looking after yourself from a nutritional and exercise standpoint, and embracing maybe something new. We know that new moon is in your sign, Gemini. So that involves your first house. I mean, these are just fantastic new starts for yourself. And you've still got Jupiter there too, Gemini, till the end of the first week of June. Now, generally speaking, a lot of astrologers say when Jupiter is coming to the end of its residency in your sign, it leaves some gifts. So expect that. I always say expect the best. So Gemini, maybe that first week in June, you will have some gifts given to you that will be of great benefit to you. But either way, that Jupiter still in your sign is giving a positive spin to your new moon. It could help you expand, just literally expand. It can bring in favorable people. You need a lawyer? Here they come. You need an advisor of some sort? Here they come. Do you need a teacher? They're going to be there. Are you becoming a teacher? Because that's highly favored here too, with that combination of the new moon and Jupiter in your sign. When we look at the conjunction of Saturn as well as Neptune, and then both of them staying in the sign of Aries for about 3 years together, we're looking at this forming a sextile, which is a favorable opportunities and involves your 11th house. So certainly, Gemini, friends are going to be of benefit to you, for sure. And these may be older, that's the Saturn, spiritual and compassionate people, that's the Neptune part. You may also have some of your hopes, dreams, and wishes come true at this time. Those wishes may be facilitated by the friends that you have, especially older friends. But it can also come through the groups that you belong to. So I would say that, this is a long-lasting transit. Even the Saturn-Neptune's 3 years, and then Neptune stays in there for at least 10 years more. So I would look, if it was me listening to myself, I would look at who are your friends? And what groups do you belong to? What important hopes, dreams, and wishes do you want to have come true, say, over the next 12 to 14 years? And have you got the right people in place to support you is what I would look at this as. You could also just dissolve. Neptune can dissolve, friendships that you have. And this may be done in a very favorable way. You may just say, you know what, I've really changed the way I think about things, and that friend or these friends don't seem to resonate with me anymore. And this can apply also to the groups that you belong to. So it's a good time, I guess what I'm saying here is to get serious about whether or not your friends are worth letting go of and embracing new ones that may have a more spiritual and or an inspirational vibe about them. And that would, as I said, include also the groups that you belong to, because this all can help you make your hopes, dreams, and wishes come true. And like I said, Jupiter still in your sign is positive as well. So take advantage of that. I would say, like, for the first week or so, look to potential people out there. Teachers are included in this group that could give you some good advice to do with all these areas I've just spoken about. Anyway, I wish everybody a very happy new year that are Geminis. Take care, Gemini. So Cancer, that full moon in Scorpio is in a fellow water sign, and it trines your 5th house. Super positive. So there's going to be some Cancers that wrap up a fabulous creative project at this time. Some other Cancers may give birth at this time because the 5th house is also children. It could also bring up something positive with regards to children that you have at this time. Love could come in for you in some way, but more so, I would say, you could have a positive development that gets featured here, right? So we picture the full moon and a focus being put on it, and a focus being put on a potential love that you have in your life here. I mean, Scorpio is a very deep sign, and so there could be some real passion here of some sort for you too, Cancer. That is very positive for you. When we look at that new moon in Gemini, it involves the 12th house. So here we're looking at a new start behind the scenes. So this could have anything to do with Gemini type things, messaging, networking, and maybe even putting in networks, writing projects. Perhaps you're given a new opportunity where you have to work behind the scenes on this writing project. It could be like literally writing SOPs, but you have to do it behind the scenes and not necessarily working with a lot of people. Even like educational materials, but it's done behind the scenes, right? Now, when we talk about Jupiter going into your sign, Cancer, that's going to happen right towards the end of the first week of June. And it stays in your sign for approximately a year, bringing you great growth, bringing you great opportunities, positive opportunities to grow, bringing in potential advisors, teachers, all that will be of benefit to you. Yeah, so you've got a great year coming ahead. You can look, Cancer, to about 12 years ago when we had Jupiter in Cancer at that time to maybe see what areas of life might be lit up for you positively. Yeah, that's one way of looking at it here. Now, when we look at that transit of Saturn conjunct Neptune in Aries, or at least sharing the sign of Aries, that squares your sign, Capricorn, and involves your 10th house. Now, Neptune can dissolve things. And what's it dissolving in this case? It's dissolving old archaic stuff. There's going to be some Cancers that are actually, redoing a career area that maybe needs to be redone. But more like kind of like on a global level, maybe there's a career path people can take that's just archaic, that needs to be transformed in some way. But it really needs to be dissolved before it can then grow into something that's more real, especially as it applies to being inspirational, spiritual, metaphysical, or compassionate. So there may be some Cancers that are tasked to do this. Maybe you're involved in a profession that's compassionate or spiritual, but you're tasked with changing the whole rules, regulations, that sort of thing. And it's challenging. It requires a lot of work, and you need to look for win-win situations. And sometimes a lot of people are very resistant. Saturn can be very resistant to the old way of doing things. And you're trying to come in and change that way of looking at the old things and bring in some new things, especially as it applies to the spiritual and compassionate world. And or giving people inspiration. That's very Neptunian, right? But know that the initial foray into doing this will be for the first 3 years, starting around now, and I mean June of this year, go on for about 3 years as Saturn and Neptune stay together. But then Neptune will remain for around another 10 years in that situation, but it'll be on its own without Saturn. So it'll be pulsating inspirational things to you, even though it's a square still. So once Neptune is on its own, it'll still square your sign. And really, to have more impact, Cancer, it does have to aspect something in Cancer, your sun or your ascendant, to have some real effect, right? Otherwise, it can just go by. But certainly all Cancers are going to be affected in some way over the next 3 years with the square of at least the Neptune and Saturn, right? I think I got a really positive feeling about this, Cancer, that you're going to be putting a lot of hard work and working collaboratively with others to change up some career path here. But you're going to be determined to do it, even though some people are going to be resistant. Those are the old guard, the Saturn, right? Yeah, you're probably going to turn up something quite remarkable here, Cancer. Well, enjoy that Jupiter in your sign starting at the end of the first week of June for a year. Super for you. Take care, Cancer. So when we look at Leo, that full moon in Scorpio squares you and involves your fourth house. Now, the thing is that's going to go on with both these new moon and full moon, Leo, for you this month, is that we have Mars that's in your sign all of May. It's from 5 to 20 degrees of Leo. And then, of course, it will still go on for a few days. So you're going to have all this energy that you want to move things forward. You want to make and take action on things. You may not have so much patience at this time. So even if someone's not moving as fast as you want them to, either literally or figuratively, have some patience here is what I would say, Leo, overall all this month, okay? You're going to want to push things forward, and you may not necessarily have everyone on board, but you may. I mean, it's all green lights for you with this whole Mars now, basically out of shadow from its retrograde and moving forward all of May. So the square to the fourth house from the full moon in Scorpio says, there's going to be some challenges with regards to perhaps family members. Maybe you're going to have challenges with your literal home. And this is going to involve something like, renovating your home. And there's challenges to do it. You can't get the materials you want. You have a contractor that now says, it's going to be delayed now for a few weeks, or I have to wait for this piece of equipment, or whatever it is. And it's just frustrating for you because you want to move forward with it, right? There could also be secrets come out at this time that you were not aware of. That's very much Scorpio-like, and this would have to do with your home, your family, and or your mother is very much featured here. But I do like the Mars in your sign all month. You want to move stuff forward, you're going to have the energy to do it for sure, especially creative projects, Leo. Now, that new moon in Gemini sextiles you and involves your 11th house. So this is really saying maybe new friends are going to be coming into your life. You may join new groups. You may have new opportunities to have your hopes, dreams, and wishes come true as well. That's 11th house too. And at least for the first week of June, you're still going to have Jupiter in Gemini, also in the 11th house, really supporting and giving good luck to everything in there that I've just spoken about. And Jupiter also likes to have us grow. So you could be growing more friends literally at that new moon in Gemini. But if you have opportunities through friends or groups you belong to have a hope, dream, or wish come true, take advantage of it, especially that first week as Jupiter remains in Gemini. And a lot of astrologers subscribe to the idea that as Jupiter ends its stay in a sign, it leaves some gifts. So expect some gifts towards the end of the first week of June that come from friends or groups that you belong to that somehow facilitate a hope, dream, or wish. Take care, Leo. So Virgo, we have that full moon in Scorpio. It sextiles your sign and involves the third house. So this could play out a few ways. Generally speaking, the third house is communications of some sort. But this could pan out as something where you end the writing of a book, because it's also writing. You could maybe in your job be given the opportunity to end short distance travel that you've been doing, maybe around your province or state, or even around your cities. That could come up for you too here. It can also have an ending with regards to maybe some kind of communications with your neighbor and or your siblings, and something is wrapped up positively and opportunities come to end something. It can also bring a big illumination to this third house, and it may just be communications of some sort are highlighted here. Maybe you're going to be learning how to communicate differently. Maybe you'll take up some short course. That could be very much third house to do with presenting. That could be up here as well with the third house. But sextiles are positive. They're opportunities. Take them or leave them. Now we look at that new moon that's in Gemini. It squares your sign and involves your 10th house. To me, it says that there's going to be a lot of writing and a lot of communicating to do, maybe a lot of messages that you've got to answer at that new moon, and all new starts of some sort in those areas. And it's a little overwhelming, and you're finding it challenging to do everything that you're required to do or being asked to do. I would say if that is the case, speak to the person that you report to and ask for some help, or organize everything so well that they can see you're maybe having to do too much, work too hard, and that it is difficult for you. Usually you've got to do that by, pick a certain time period where you literally show, okay, I had 50 emails come in here that were all urgent. I had a writing proposal that I had to put together the next day, and I had to present 2 days later, and I haven't even got my presentation ready and haven't got a time to do it. I'm already working 12 hours a day. So it might be something like that you've got to put together and present and say, I can only do so much. I need some help. That's okay. Still others, it might be that you're having difficulty signing a new contract, maybe for a job or something. And there's negotiations that seem a little bit challenging, maybe to do with some money that you want, or just elements of a contract could be a little challenging. The benefit here with that new moon in Gemini is that we still have Jupiter in Gemini the first week, right up to the end of the first week, pulsating good luck, gifts coming your way, and, helping you grow to some extent as well in your career in a very positive way. Maybe take on the mantle of an advisor. And just from that standpoint of alone, you realize that, you're a little out of your depth, and that maybe you've got to take some more education or training that's going to support you in that new career that you've got. Now, we look at Saturn and Neptune together in Aries for the next 3 years. That involves your 8th house, Virgo. And so this says to me that, there may be some Virgos that are deciding to retire, and that you have to dissolve some of those old things that you've got, old investments that you've got in place that now need to change into cash for you, or your 401ks. You could put new structure around investments, 401ks, pensions, that sort of thing, or any shared resources. But it seems to me that you're going to be dissolving, and I'm thinking this is more shared resources. Over the next 3 years, you're going to be dissolving some shared resources here in a very positive way and putting new ones in place. Now, the other thing this can represent, especially when Neptune will remain there for at least another 10 years after Saturn leaves, 3 years from now, could be psychological counseling. But I'm also thinking, too, that There may be some Virgos that are finishing up, some maybe as part of your job, some psychological counseling. And the 3 years is you working hard to make it real. And after the 3 years, you're just left with a Neptune there to take up that mantle of maybe being a psychologist. That's very 8th house. Investments are changing here, for sure, Virgo. So actively participate in whatever has to happen here. But you may have to liquidate some investments and or shared resources, or they may be eliminated for you. And it may be very positive for you, because Neptune for sure provides inspiration. Now, when we look at what else have you got going on here? You will still have Virgo, as both Saturn and Neptune retrograde back into Pisces, as they will do this year, even though they go into Aries, and I spoke about that. So if you've got anything, say your sun or an ascendant towards the latter degrees of Virgo, you still may have a few challenges that come up with regards to things being a bit cloudy in some way. And this may come from a partnership. You may also have, there may be issues for your partner, especially if you've got these latter degrees of the 27, 28 degrees of Virgo as a sun sign, I say, or an ascendant. There may be like just a few remnants of things that you have to tie up with regards to a partner, a business partner, marriage partner, and it can be clients too. As both Saturn and Neptune go back into your opposite sign of Pisces. I haven't got the exact dates in front of me, but it's kind of on and off, say from July onwards. So just know you may still be doing some wrapping up in those areas, but that's okay. You're going to be clear of it before you know it. Take care, Virgo. So Libra, that full moon in Scorpio lands in your 2nd house. So this says to me, you're going to end some form of income. Maybe you're ending some form of income because you're taking up a new job. I mean, you've got the new moon that's in the 9th house. So if by chance you are setting something up with foreign people, foreign things, maybe even moving to a foreign land as part of a job offer, that could be why you end the income on the full moon in Scorpio. Like part of a plan type thing. It could be for some folks that, you know, your company is having to eliminate some positions and yours is one of the positions. But that new moon also in the month of June is super positive for you. Let me see what else it could be. I mean, it's also our values, the 2nd house. So you may have a big spotlight put on your value system or how people value you, and you're having to think about it. How are people valuing me here? Am I valuing myself enough? And maybe you realize you're not being valued enough and you want to get a new job. That new moon could potentially bring up something like that, especially if it involves anything to do with foreign people, foreign lands, travel, higher education, so that's university settings. Legal matters could be very positive for you too. And that new moon in Gemini could potentially have you publishing something too. So if you're a writer, Libra, this could bring in a publishing opportunity that's very positive for you. And certainly that first week of June, if you get it done then, you're still going to have positive Jupiter pulsating away, bringing good luck for you. When we look at Saturn and Neptune in Aries, Saturn and Neptune will be together in Aries for about 3 years, and then Neptune will be on its own for like over 10 years after that. So we're looking at your opposite sign, right? So this involves your 7th house. And, you know, it's difficult to say how this will play out for everybody individually. You really need to look at everyone's personal chart. But it could play out that your partner is very much affected here. You know, where you have your partner having to dissolve things, maybe dissolve things in a business partnership. Maybe you're dissolving a marriage here as well. That's possible with the Saturn and the Neptune in the 7th house. Yeah, so there could be a big focus on your partner here that you have to, that especially for the first 3 years, and maybe they're evolving into getting rid of one business partnership and wanting to take on a compassionate one, maybe even like a 501c or a charity, and they're letting go of one business partnership and trying to develop this other one that involves those areas, right, for the next 3 years. And it comes up around this new moon. Yeah. But like I said, you have that Jupiter still in Gemini in your 9th house. That's really positive. If you want to take a trip or something like that, wow, that's going to be awesome for you to do that with that new moon in Gemini, like planning a trip. Big positive focus on you if that's what you're doing. Communications could be very positive too, putting together a trip as well. Working with other people, that's very Gemini, right? Well, good luck, Libra. Bye for now. So Scorpio, that full moon in Scorpio, that falls in your 1st house. Now, the thing that goes with this is that the sun in your opposite house at this time of Taurus will be conjuncting Uranus. And that features your 7th house at the same time as your full moon. So it could be that something unexpected happens with your partner that affects you directly. It could be that something unexpected happens with a business partnership. Something unexpected happens with clients. It's like any other is the 7th house, any other, usually someone who you sign a contract with. So there's something unexpected due to come up for you is what it says. And this is a culmination. So, and there's going to be a big spotlight of some sort. Something may end. I mean, it could be a business partnership that you want to end. It could be that clients that you're dealing with now, you're going to change out your whole, who you want to attract in as clients. And this is featured at this full moon. When we look at the new moon in Gemini, well, that's your 8th house. So the 8th house is, investments or money that you have with other people, like shared checking accounts. It can be your investments. It can be your 401k, your pension. So there's going to be some Scorpios that are retiring. Yeah, and you're going to access your 8th house monies. Now, the good thing about this is that Jupiter will be in Gemini right up to the end of the 1st week of June. So if you can at least start the process forward for those Scorpios that are retiring, you're going to be positively affected by this. You may even have some good advisors here. If you need to take a new stance with regards to how you invest and you want to get a different, say, advisor of some sort to give you financial information that'll be useful to you, this would be good at this new moon as well. Now, at this new moon in Gemini, we have both Saturn and Neptune in Aries. And that is featuring your 6th house. So this could work out a few ways, Scorpio. It could be that your present day-to-day job is dissolved for whatever reason. It could be that you are tasked with changing up old ways of doing things, maybe old archaic structures in the job that you do, and putting in maybe some inspiration into the job as it is wanted to be in the future. It's kind of like getting rid of the old and bringing in something much more inspirational. So this could pan out different ways. It could even be you taking the initiative to, change up a whole past way of doing the job you're doing and rewrite, all the job descriptions here. It could be something like that too. Now, this is also the 6th house of health, and this can be physical health as well as mental health. And so those things may be changing up for you too in a whole new way. You may decide, I'm not eating right, I'm not exercising properly, My job is taking up too much of my time and I'm not getting, work-life balance. That could come up and you just take a new stance. You communicate it. Gemini, I'm not going to work 12 hours a day anymore. I'm going to take better care of what I eat. I'm going to go and have a regular exercise program. And you set all that in place by letting go of things that are old and not useful to you and putting in things that are. Now, we're going to have Jupiter go into Cancer, which is the fellow water sign for you, Scorpio. And that involves your 9th house. So this is a lovely setup for you to do what? To be in communication with foreign people, foreign things, super positive. Go on a trip, let's say overseas. It could also have you expanding with regards to, maybe some advanced degree that you're doing is positively supported here for you. I just get this feeling that taking a trip on water is going to be outstanding for you, Scorpio. Now, the effect of Jupiter in Cancer is going to be from June, the end of the first week of June, all the way through for a year till next June, 2026. And Jupiter also likes us to grow. And so you could grow, say you are traveling, maybe even traveling is part of your job. You can be guaranteed that for this following year, that travel is going to really support your understanding of who you are in this world and broaden your mind. Take care, Scorpio. So Sagittarius, that full moon in Scorpio falls in your 12th house. So the 12th house is viewed as a hidden house. It can be our self-undoing. It's where secrets are. It's the metaphysical world. I'm thinking with this full moon in Scorpio, there may be some secrets that come up, either yours or somebody else's that you didn't know about. But it also can be an ideal time to really look at the inside of your mind and what are you doing to trip yourself up. Because Scorpio does rule our hidden depths. It's our psychological mind as well. And so this would be an excellent time to look at all those things in your life. Maybe look at what am I doing that maybe is tripping me up? What am I putting underneath the carpet that maybe I need to look at more closely and be brave? The other thing is that be careful about, hiding things from people that could come out as a secret that you don't want people to know. So I guess don't do anything untoward that might pop out later, right? But this could also have you wrapping up something that you've been working on behind the scenes that had to be kept a secret. And now it can be brought out into the open. And this could be anything, right? Typically, we look at institutions like government offices, ashrams, and hospitals. And so there might be some kind of wrap up here with regards to some activity you've been doing in one or more of those institutions. That ends at this time. When we look at that new moon in Gemini, well, that's opposite to you and involves your 7th house. And so this may put a focus on your partner, whether that's a business partner, some clients, or your marriage partner. But it involves communications. And these communications could be, it's kind of like debating, right? It's not everyone having a warm and fuzzy feeling, but it's saying, this is what I want, this is what you want. And so that activity could start around that new moon in Gemini for you. It can also open up communication between you and a partner as well. It could potentially also bring in maybe a writing project if you're involved in, say, a consortium of some sort where you all contribute to writing for some reason. And or your partner could be featured here with regards to some kind of new beginning, with regards to maybe a writing project for them. any kind of communications, maybe even educational materials they're getting involved in. And it's all a positive thing for you. Maybe more money's involved because, we will have Jupiter, going into Cancer at this time, but certainly if things were initiated during that first week of June, Jupiter in Gemini could really facilitate. I mean, the Jupiter in Gemini will still be there after it leaves the sign, the influence of it, as Cancer starts with Jupiter there. So there could be something lucky that happens to your partner through a message of some sort, through a communications of some sort. And that may come through during the first week of June and manifests as a new start at the new moon in Gemini. Now, at that new moon in Gemini, we will have both Saturn and Neptune in Aries. They'll both stay together in Aries, culminating at an exact conjunction in February next year, 2026. But both Saturn and Neptune will stay approximately 3 years in Aries, and then Saturn will leave Neptune on its own for like around 10 years or so. And so we know that Aries is a fire sign, like you are. So there's a positive trine that's formed here. And this is just awesome long-term energy for you. It may involve you dissolving some old way of doing things. That may be up for you. Yeah, let me just take a look here. There's going to be some kind of dissolution for you that happens, I believe, that first 3 years, that then leaves you with all this wonderful inspiration and compassion with Neptune there for another 10 years. Yeah, so it involves your fifth house. And man, the fifth house is one of my favorite houses. There may be some real creative projects that take root here. Like as you let go of something else may step in here that's very creative for you, that may involve some kind of inspirational theme, spiritual theme, metaphysical theme, compassion for sure. There could also be somebody that comes into your life that you feel is your soulmate. This person may be older than you, or you may be the older person. There could be some goings on with your children. Maybe they're looking at and changing up some of their philosophies. And you may facilitate that for them. This is a trine, so it's positive. Whatever does happen, if you have children, it's a positive thing. But I think creative projects are up here, and especially with the Saturn positively working on this, it could bring, to life, to make real music, written music, played music, dance, film, photography. That's all under the Neptune auspices. Yeah, positive stuff for you here, Sag. All right. Take care, Sagittarius. So Capricorn, that full moon in Scorpio forms a positive sextile with your sign, giving you opportunities to your 11th house of friends, groups you belong to, hopes, dreams, and wishes. Super positive. So a couple things may happen here. In an easy way, you may let go of some friends that maybe you just don't find you're resonating with. You may let go of some groups that you belong to that don't resonate with you anymore. You may also see the culmination of a hope, dream, or wish come true here too. But know that hope, dream, and wish will be manifested as a result of some kind of interaction with your friends and or the groups that you belong to. Hey, it may just be that there's a big spotlight put on a friend in your life for whatever reason. And Scorpio rules secrets, It's our psychological selves as well. So there could be something in this area that's highlighted at this time for you with the full moon in Scorpio. When we look at that new moon in Gemini, that's your 6th house. We're going to still have Gemini entertaining Jupiter before it goes into Cancer. Now, this new moon will be after that, but hey, Jupiter's still going to be affecting this positively, providing a cushion of some sort, and maybe even advisor of some sort that may come in to help you with a new job situation. The new job situation may involve writing. It may involve teaching. Communications of any sort could be up for you too. So generally speaking, Capricorn, this could be a new moon in Gemini, a new job. Now, the other thing that 6th house is our health, all aspects of our health. And so there may be a new start here. You may receive some message of some sort that helps you get your health in better shape. This could even come through some kind of writing that you do, or some written thing that you, like a book that you read, that you say, I'm going to take this up for my health. It's going to make me physically better. I like what they're suggesting for my nutritional needs. And you know what? I've been working too hard, and I need to really look after my mental health by having work-life balance. So that all could be up here at that new moon in Gemini. Now, at the same time as that new moon, we're going to have Saturn and Neptune now both in Aries. Yeah. And this affects your 4th house. And that squares your sign. So it seems to me that you're going to have a challenge with regards to helping your family and or your mother change up or let go of, dissolve something to do with either interactions in the family, the way you talk to each other, the way you think about each other, could all be up for big change, and you have to facilitate part of this. Now, the 4th house can literally represent your home too. So there may be some Capricorns that are remodeling and setting in contracts. Some of the contracts may not work out in your favor because of the dissolving and confusing aspect of Neptune over Saturn. So I would say if you are doing something like that, or wanting to buy a home, sell a home, just make sure you understand all the details. If anything is confusing, don't sign. Make sure you check out to see what the details are. But you know, on a positive side, you could be putting real effort to make real a spiritual home for yourself. And you want to do it your way. It's all about Aries, right? Aries does it their way. They even sometimes will carve out new roads, pioneer new ways of doing things. But the square is going to provide you challenges. It doesn't mean things won't happen, Capricorn. It just means that it may not be all straightforward. You know, working with others, doing win-win situations, if, for instance, it's your family that is having issues, just go with the flow as best you can. Seek out, though, people who are experienced. That Saturn part of it there could really help you utilize older, more experienced people if there is some kind of family dynamic where there has to be better communications of some sort. But like I said, it could just be your home in whatever way, whatever's happening with that home. There's difficulties and it's not all straightforward. Oh, one thing that I want to add in here, Capricorn, is that with Jupiter going into Cancer, your opposite sign, starting towards the end of the first week of June for a whole year, you could attract in a really beneficial partner, whether that's a marriage partner, a business partner, and or clients at this time. Very positive for you. Jupiter very rarely has anything negative, and even as an opposition. I would say the biggest thing for me here is you could find a marriage partner coming your way starting the end of the first week of June for a whole year, that's going to be pulsating away for you. You may even get married. This is a great time to get married would be Jupiter in your 7th house. And that's going to be there for a year, starting at the end of the first week of June. Yeah, that's super positive for you. But all aspects of partners and any other is going to be positive for you for sure. Take care, Capricorn. So Aquarius, that full moon in Scorpio, squares your sign and involves your 10th house. Now, you're also going to have Mars in Leo for the whole month, opposing you, right? That's your opposite sign, and it's the 7th house. So with that dynamic, I thought there may be a lot of activity going on with your partner, whether it's a business partner, a marriage partner, or clients, or all three of them. Lots of activity over there that you're witnessing. At the same time, you have this full moon in Scorpio that's squaring your 10th house of career. And so it could be that activities that are happening with your partner or any other are kind of challenging to you with your career. You may not be able to put as much time into your career because you're being distracted by all this activity with your partner or any other, right? The other thing that this full moon squaring your 10th house could bring up is that, you know, Scorpio is kind of a psychological sign. I'm almost thinking that for some Aquarians, you might have this fear that you're not able to do something in your career, and it's unfounded completely. That you need to look at and maybe get feedback with regards to how you're doing your career. Like there's a psychological aspect here with this square. And it's almost like I'm getting this feeling of you overcoming the fear that you can't do this job. Maybe you've been put into a new position. You're thinking, oh my God, this is beyond me. I've actually had this happen to me. And it was so untrue. I didn't realize my strength. I didn't realize all the skills that I have to be so successful. So I understand that feeling. And I think that feeling is here in many ways. I would seek out things like people who can mentor you or just write down facts of what you are doing, right? But there could be some challenge here. I mean, maybe also, Scorpio represents secrets too. There might be something that comes out at this time with the full moon that you didn't know about, that's been hampering you and challenging you. And this gets resolved at the full moon. When we look at that new moon in Gemini, it trines you and involves your 5th house. There's going to be some Aquarians that fall in love. That's the 5th house. There's going to be some Aquarians that get news that they're pregnant. There's going to be some Aquarians that get news that you have this new writing project. You have this new creative project. You're going to get good news regarding some aspect of your children's life if you have children. 5th house is one of the best houses I've always viewed. Trines are one of the best aspects you can have. So you've got some very positive communications coming in and messages for you at that new moon. Now, when we look at Saturn and Neptune in Aries, well, that sextiles you, and it involves your 3rd house. So we're kind of going back to messages and communications again, because that's the 3rd house, right? And this is a long-lasting one. The Saturn-Neptune together in Aries will be about 3 years, and then Neptune will be left alone for well over 10 years after that on its own in Aries. So it says to me, I think you're going to be dissolving some way of communicating and instituting probably new ways that are more compassionate, that are more inspirational. Like for the first 3 years, it's like dissolving one way of communicating and figuring out other ways to inspire people. You may even be working on this for the company you work for, where they want you to redo maybe some of the basic teaching or learning materials that the company has. This could be any kind of writing project. Yeah. I'm also thinking things like SOPs that are ancient and old and need to be revised. That could be part of what you end up doing here too with this situation. Now for you, you've got Pluto in your sign, as you know. For this year, it'll be around the 3-degree mark. So if you do have something around 3 degrees, you can expect some probably major transformation of some sort. Maybe even given power of some sort too, because Pluto is very much about power. The power to maybe change aspects of your life. Take care, Aquarius. So Pisces, that full moon in Scorpio is also in a fellow water sign, and it trines you. That's all positive energy, and it involves your 9th house. There's going to be some Pisces that end some fabulous trip that they're going on. There may be some others that favorably end some kind of legal matter. Others that see the end of doing an advanced degree come into view. Others may just end some kind of association with foreign people and foreign places. Yeah, it's pretty positive. Whatever is being highlighted for you right now in those areas that I just mentioned, or a big light shone on them, it's all going to be positive energy that comes out of it. Now, we look at that new moon in Gemini, it squares you, Pisces, and involves your 4th house. And so this could be something as simple as you can't get the contracts together to remodel your house, for instance. Just when you think you found the house you want to buy, something steps in to say you can't buy it for whatever reason. And it's something to do with communication. You were 2 days late. You were 1 day late. You had to get actually, I've had this happen to me before. That money had to go in 2 days ago and you didn't. We told you about it. Oh, you didn't get the message? Oh, well, you've lost buying that home. I've had that happen. The 4th house also can be your family. And just on the surface, I'm thinking with the Gemini part, there could be like new ways that are needed to unblock things in your family so that communications are better. So it's almost to me saying like, introduce new ways of communicating, have win-win situations with your family, and work with them to change how you all communicate. That's kind of what I got with this. Now, when we look at both Saturn and Neptune in Aries, we know that's your 2nd house. So there's going to be some Pisces that are dissolving an income that you have coming in. But you may be replacing it with some kind of spiritual, compassionate type of job, or at least where you make money. That maybe the metaphysical world will be brought in here as well. Certainly Saturn, in a positive way, in connection with Neptune, can bring in making your spiritual life real and making money from it. Now, the big conjunction of both these planets will be exact next February 2026. You will have both Saturn and Neptune, they'll go retrograde this year and come back into like the latter degrees, like 27, 28, 29 degrees of Pisces. So I'm thinking there may be some remnants, Pisces, for you to tidy up before you can move forward with this new source of the income that you're going to be able to acquire once both Saturn and Neptune are there permanently. Take care, Pisces. So Aries, lots of activity going your way. Yeah, I'm going to start off with talking about the Saturn and Neptune in your sign, Aries. Now, it officially joins up in your sign exactly next February 2026. But hey, it's ongoing back and forth within degrees of conjunction, really for some time, especially starting at that new moon in Gemini this month. And Saturn, as well as Neptune together, will remain together for about 3 years in Aries. Now, this is going to bring in two things. It's probably going to dissolve some old structures in your life. It can also have some kind of dissolution regarding your father. That's the Saturn part. Or older people, or people that, know the rules and regulation. There may be some kind of dissolving in that area, or something that needs to be dissolved in that area that affects you directly. But hey, Saturn at its positive conjunct Neptune can make real your spiritual world, can make real that 501c that you want to put together as a charity. Look towards February next year for things to become really set in place, if that's the case for you. But with Neptune there, if you take them individually, Neptune in Aries in your sign in the first house can potentially bring in some confusion for you, some doubts for you that could happen too. And Saturn can add to that too. So expect that you may have something like doubts come up. Can I do this? Can I move forward with this? Of course you can. I think you just need to me, it's like you've got to let go of some of the old ways of doing things and embrace a much more compassionate and inspirational, that's very Neptune, inspirational way of looking at things. And Neptune can represent your hopes, dreams, and wishes. So there may be a chance for some Aries to make those come true, to make them real with Saturn there over the next 3 years. That new moon in Gemini, that's in your third house, sextiles you. So these are new opportunities through friends, potentially. Communications with friends. But the third house can also be siblings and your neighbors. So there may be some new opportunities here of communicating with both these groups as well. The third house can be a writing project. You may be given an opportunity for a new writing project here. And Jupiter is in Gemini up to the end of the first week of June, but it'll still be exerting positive energy towards that new moon in Gemini, giving you a cushion and maybe some advice that's really useful for you. Also, you could be given opportunities to maybe travel around short distance, like the city that you're in, like the state or the province that you're in. Now, this is a sextile, so it's an opportunity. You can take it or leave it, right? Mostly, this new start is going to be to do with communications, as well as, say, writing projects of any sort. Take care, Aries. So Taurus, that full moon in Scorpio, that's your opposite sign, and it's your 7th house. And we know that Uranus is in your first house at this time, conjunct that sun, opposite the moon in Scorpio. So there's some big surprising opportunity here. It could be an opportunity to set you free, to liberate you in some way. So for those Taurians that have been waiting for that liberation, for that breaking free, here it is at this full moon in Scorpio. Now, you are going to have Uranus leaving your sign pretty soon and going into Gemini in July. And I think that's going to be good news for you, Taurus. Because that's going to be your 2nd house, right? When you have Uranus going into Gemini for you, Taurus, that's your 2nd house, surprising opportunities to earn money. But this full moon is going to bring some kind of freedom, liberation, letting something go, a big illumination of some sort. And it could be something to do with your marriage partner, your business partnership, your clients. All those could be coming up here. And maybe those are some things that you do want to let go, you want to be liberated from. Maybe you want to change up your client base. Here's an opportunity coming in for you, right? Maybe you want to let that business partnership go. And here's an opportunity to end it. That new moon in Gemini is in your second house. We're just talking about your second house. So this is a new job opportunity potentially to earn new income. It could also have you having a new view of you and your value. So this may be you taking up a new job, being offered a new job, and that money that they give you really shows you your value. Now, the other thing is that this could just very simply be having you getting a possession that involves communications of some sort. Maybe you're going to get a really super duper mobile phone of some sort that you've wanted, that you've been lusting after, and that's that possession. And you get the more expensive version of it at this time, or you get the opportunity for it. I mean, Jupiter will be in Cancer, but Jupiter in Gemini for the first part of June will still be influencing this new moon positively. So you could have some good luck coming your way with regards to new money that you earn. Now, we look at Saturn and Neptune at this new moon now in Aries. Well, that's your 12th house. So for the next 3 years, you're going to be entertaining both Saturn and Neptune in your 12th house. Then Saturn, after 3 years, will go on to go into your sign and leave Neptune in your 12th house for another 10 years or so. So this could have you, there's a whole bunch of things that can happen with this, but I think it's going to be you getting real over confusing things that maybe you need to clear up. It's like you need to dissolve the old way of things that you've done, maybe habits that you've had that you need to let go of. That's kind of what I got here. You need to do it your way because it's Aries. But certainly for those Taurians that are trying to get more into a metaphysical, spiritual, or compassionate either way of life or maybe even a job, Saturn could support you to do that over the next 3 years. As Saturn with Neptune says, I'm going to make real, that's the Saturn part, this spiritual life of mine. But mostly that spiritual life is either going to be behind the scenes or just hidden from view. It could be something as simple as you're taking astrology courses. It could be you going to ashrams and maybe gaining yoga certification. Or just learning more about the metaphysical world, but you do it behind the scenes. I mean, it's the places that this rules, the 12th house, is things like government offices, ashrams for sure, hospitals. So you could, Taurus, be one of those people who is dissolving old rules and regulations around a hospital and putting in more compassionate ways of doing things, more spiritual ways of spiritualizing, compassionate ways of doing things, getting rid of the rules and regulations, and you're tasked with that. And for the first 3 years, you do that. And then you're left with this super clean, beautiful, compassionate, spiritual ending to that institution that you might be working in. It's a good way of using it. But it looks like there's some new source of income for you. For sure, Taurus, right? Like I said, you can enjoy the fact that Uranus will be going mostly out of your sign starting in July this year. Take care, Taurus. All right, folks. You know, I always love doing your astrology charts. I've got lots of different services. All the details and contact are below. Reach out to me via email on elpisastrology@gmail.com. We'll communicate back and forth. So leave your comments. I love to hear from my viewers and my clients. I answer all my comments that I have come in. I value everything that you tell me, so don't be shy. All right, I'm sending everybody lots of love. Hey, we're looking at May here, springtime. All the birds are out, the flowers are popping up. It's such a positive time of the year. Take care of yourselves, and bye for now.